Let's get you the latest coming out of the East African nation of Kenya, as Kenyans headed to the polls today to decide on crucial elections as outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta prepares to hand over power to a new leader. We're joined by Voice of America correspondent Vincent Makori in Nairobi. Vincent, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. As we are understanding, polling stations have been closed, but there are extensions because of some technical glitches in some polling stations.
Yes, polling stations officially closed at 5 today, so that is the official time. But there have been extensions because starting early morning, there were glitches which led to delays in some polling stations. In fact, people waited for as long as 3 hours, some 4 hours, some even 6 hours. And the election officials assured the citizens that they will extend their voting time for the same amount of the delay. And therefore, even as we speak now, there are some polling stations that are still open. This was a countrywide situation, and that has been a source of so much frustration among citizens of this country on this very important day.
Right. By midday, the electoral body in the country had given an update in terms of how many people had turned out to vote. Of the 22 million registered voters, not even half of them had turned out. How are we looking at this hour, at least? Any further updates?
Well, there were kind of concerns as to the turnout, and I just spoke to somebody not long ago who said after going to several polling stations, he got the sense that the turnout was lower than expected. Now, people are wondering whether it was because of some of the glitches that happened that turned people away, or just lack of faith in the Electoral Commission. And so they're still, waiting to see what is the explanation for that. Now, there's some polling stations where there were long lines. I actually visited a number of polling stations where there were so many lines, and so many of them were so long. But there were other areas where the voting was really low, and we know that in the recent months there have been reports that a great number of Kenyans, especially the youth, are disenchanted with politics. And many of those that we spoke to, the younger generation, were saying they have no interest in going to cast their ballots because they don't see the value of voting, especially because they look at themselves, their condition, their situations in life, and say, and none of these politicians is promising them in a more concrete way that they're going to change their lot. And so it's a possibility that there are some who just stayed home and decided not to vote. But I guess we will know by tomorrow whether that was the reason, or that was perhaps occasioned by some of the glitches that we experienced early in the morning.
What about those of you who actually decided to come out and patiently wait in the long lines? What is it that they are hoping for?
Most are saying they're hoping that whoever becomes the next president will help get this country out of the economic hardships that people are facing today. That in fact, hopefully, the next president will address issues of corruption, for example, which are endemic in this country. The younger people want to see jobs created for them. There are so many Kenyans who have had very challenging times trying to get, decent jobs, or even just have some means of survival. So they want a president who can hopefully address these issues. One of the biggest issues, or the issue, is also health care, access to affordable health care for all. So all these candidates have promised to do those things. It's all a question of who of them has sufficiently convinced the voters that he will be able to indeed fulfill the aspirations of Kenyans.
And just to reiterate, I heard you say that results will come out possibly early tomorrow. Vote counting probably will get well underway in a few moments from now.
That's correct. The counting begins soon after actually the polls close. So we expect to get the numbers out by sometime tomorrow. It stipulated that ideally within 3 days the results should be out. It should be known who has won the election, and who has lost the election. So if everything goes smoothly, by tomorrow we should start seeing numbers coming in, and we'll get a sense of where the country is going in terms of their the electoral process for the year 2022.
Vincent Makori is a senior correspondent with Voice of America. Asante.